Ontario Provincial Police have reopened a case we first told you about 2 years ago. In December 2016, Soleiman Faqiri was charged with aggravated assault. The 30-year-old man was put in the Central East Correctional Centre in Lindsay. Soleiman had schizophrenia and was waiting for a transfer to a mental health facility. 11 days later, he was dead following a confrontation with correctional officers. A coroner's report later found that he had 50 injuries, all the result of blunt force trauma. But Kawartha Lakes Police laid no charges in his death. Last Sunday, our colleagues from the Fifth Estate revealed new information about the violent end to Soleiman's young life. The OPP are launching an independent investigation into this case. Joining me now in studio is Yosef Faqiri, Soleiman's brother. Good morning.
Good to be here.
Back then, when the Kawartha Lakes Police said that they weren't going to lay any charges, what went through your mind at that time?
There's so many words to describe it, but, we could summarize as disappointed, astonished as to how the Kawartha Lakes Police Service did not press charges when clearly my brother was against a barrage of assault. 50 bruises is quite compelling way that my brother died. 50 bruises was inflicted on him, and at the time of his death, both his legs and his hands were tied. He was pepper sprayed twice. And for the family, we were absolutely disturbed and astonished how charges were not pressed, because at the end of the day, my brother deserved accountability.
And now that you've learned that the OPP is reopening this case and launching an independent investigation, what was your reaction?
I think, we were relieved, but at the same time, this is happening a second time now. The question is why? Why couldn't the Kawartha Lakes Police Service get it right the first time? Let me be clear here, though. The OPP opening a new investigation, it's an important, critical step towards the road for, justice and accountability. But for us, we will continue to speak out, and this is the first step because we still want to make sure that the people that killed my brother, that took his life, are held to account, where criminal charges need to be pressed.
For people who did not see that Fifth Estate investigation on Sunday, what was this fresh evidence and new information that came to light?
Many things came to light. One of the most significant factors that came to light was a former inmate by the name of John Thibault, who was an eyewitness to the killing of my brother, articulated what happened to him. His quote was, "They viciously beat him to death." And my question then, I go back to the Kawartha Lakes Police Services, how do you not interview the eyewitness to the killing of my brother?
But he did not come forward at the time, though. That should be pointed out.
How do you? I think it's also important that he is in Lindsay, in Central East, in jail at the time. I don't think normally an inmate would not be speaking when they're at the jail. So I think that's very important.
The Kawartha Lakes Police, though, are the ones who did pass on this information when it came to light to them.
My understanding is that the Office of the Chief Coroner is the organ of government that opened the police investigation. That's my understanding, that it was the Office of the Chief Coroner's office that called for the OPP investigation.
What are you hoping that this new investigation will reveal?
We're hoping the same thing and asking for the same thing since December 15, 2016, when my brother mercilessly lost his life, and that is for accountability and justice and transparency. It's very important is how does a mentally ill man who has a known mental illness, staff are aware of his illness, and he loses his life in the very institution that is supposed to take care of him. My brother was there for 11 days. He was waiting for a bed, as you articulated, way, and instead he loses his life. We are calling for accountability and transparency. We deserve that. And people in Ontario and in Canada need to be disturbed how a mentally ill man is killed under government care and the individuals that take his life are not held to account. It's absolutely disappointing. Absolutely disappointing. He was a vulnerable man.
You were saying that you wanted to see potentially criminal charges laid in this case. But guards are in a delicate position where they need to keep everybody safe.
Mm-hmm.
Are there mitigating circumstances where they were trying to keep your brother restrained and controlled?
Okay, so the facts are very compelling. As Mr. Thibault said, they viciously beat him to death. As I understand, one of the guards, according to Mr. Thibault, had his knee on his neck. And with the coroner's report that was very exhaustive, that gave the account that there was 50 bruises on his body, that his legs and hands were tied, and that he was pepper sprayed twice. So I don't know how that would justify. I don't think there's anybody in this country or in this province that would say that the guards were justified. I mean, this is absolutely appalling and astonishing how they did this to my brother, and they're still not held to account.
Mm-hmm. If you could speak to Kawartha Lakes Police, what would you say to them?
What I could, for me, with respect to the Kawartha Lakes Police Service, I think it's important that we get all the information. We needed to get, there need to be transparency and accountability. We didn't, the Kawartha Lakes Police Service were not transparent with my family when they closed the police investigation. And again, I like to state the fact is, how do you close an investigation without speaking to the eyewitness of the killing? How do you close an investigation without speaking to Mr. Thibault when he was across the cell? I mean, it's a stunning situation here.
Yosef, thank you very much for your time today and speaking with us.
Thank you very much, Wei.
Yosef Faqiri, his brother Soleiman died more than 2 years ago in a Lindsay jail after a confrontation with correctional officers. The OPP have reopened the case after an initial investigation by the Kawartha Lakes Police Service concluded no charges would be laid. For more on this, I will link to the Fifth Estate investigation as well on our Facebook page later, facebook.com/Ontario Morning.